The storm had swallowed the mountain whole. Kale Vera stood at the mouth of the den, his silver-gray fur plastered flat against a body that had not moved in 3 hours. His ears were broad, pointed, built to catch the sound of prey a kilometer distant, heard nothing but the howling white void where his cubs had been. 6 of them. Gone. The Vera pack numbered 43. Warriors, hunters, elders who had survived the great drought of the eastern plains, the poison wars near the Reach, and the long silence after the sky bridges fell. They had endured everything. They had not endured this. Alpha. His second, Durin, spoke from behind him. Her voice was stripped of its usual authority, hollow, like a snapped bone. The scouts returned. They found nothing. The avalanche moved the entire eastern shelf. The scent trails are buried under 6 meters of ice. Kale said nothing. He could feel the pack behind him. 43 bodies radiating grief the way stone radiates heat long after the fire dies. The mothers of the cubs sat together, not speaking, not moving. Just existing in the specific agony of not knowing. "We go at dawn," Kale finally said. "Alpha, the temperature?" "We go at dawn." No one argued. No one could. The pack Alpha's word was law, but more than law, it was the shape of the pack's will made audible. And every single one of them wanted to tear that mountain apart with their bare hands. They just didn't know if there was anything left to find. It was Durin who heard it first. 2 hours before dawn. The storm had not stopped, it had, in fact, worsened, but Durin's ears swiveled toward the tree line below the den shelf and her spine went rigid. "Something's moving," she said. Kale was beside her in 3 steps. He stared into the white dark. His night vision was exceptional, built for exactly this, low light, high contrast, motion detection refined over 10,000 years of evolution. He saw nothing. Then he saw it. A shape. Upright. Bipedal. Moving through chest-deep snow with the singular, grinding determination of something that had decided it would not stop even if every law of physics demanded otherwise. A human. Kale had seen humans before. Twice. Both times, in ruins, small figures picking through the wreckage of old settlements, soft-bodied and slow, with their strange flat faces and their absurd lack of fur. Prey-shaped. Fragile. The Vera elders spoke of them with a kind of puzzled pity, clever creatures, but ill-suited. They won't last. This one was moving through a blizzard at -30 with what appeared to be 6 cubs strapped across her body. Kale blinked. His excellent eyes reported the same information a second time. 6 cubs. Alive. Moving. He was at the treeline before he had consciously decided to move. Mara Ellison had stopped feeling her hands about 40 minutes ago. This was, she had decided, acceptable. Hands were tools. Tools could be repaired. The cubs were alive, she could feel them shifting against her chest, back, shoulders, the makeshift harness she'd constructed from her pack straps, her belt, and what remained of her thermal jacket, and that was the only metric that mattered right now. The avalanche had exposed the hollow where they'd sheltered. She'd found them by sound, high, thin, desperate sounds that no human child made but that had hit her nervous system with the exact same frequency as "help me, please, help me." She hadn't thought about it. She'd dug. Her fingers had bled. She didn't remember when. The harness had taken 11 minutes to build. She'd timed it against her pulse because her watch was buried somewhere under 2 meters of ice. The cubs had screamed when she touched them of fear, probably, she was the wrong shape, wrong smell, but they'd gone quiet when she'd held them against her body heat. One at a time. Until all 6 were attached to her like a living, breathing vest. Then she'd started walking. The dense smell was everywhere in the valley, musky, layered, specific in the way animal territories always were. She just had to follow it uphill. Simple. The fact that uphill was a 40-degree incline through a continuing avalanche zone in whiteout conditions was not a problem she was going to solve by thinking about it, so she didn't think about it. One step. Another. Another. She'd named the cubs in her head to keep herself oriented. Largest one on her back she called Tank. Two clinging to her chest were Velcro and Limpet, names earned behaviorally. One on her left shoulder, claws wrapped in her collar, face buried in her neck, she called Scarf. The two nestled in the crooks of her arms were Anchor and Ballast. Almost there, she told them. Her voice was gone to a rasp. You can stop pretending to be heavy any time. Tank shifted on her back. Scarf made a sound against her neck that might have been a response. Kale Vera had hunted many things. He had never watched anything move like this. The human was not fast. She was not graceful. She was, by any objective measure, barely functional. He could see the way her legs punched through the snow crust with each step, the way her entire body shook with a continuous fine tremor that told him she was burning reserves she did not have. Her face was visible when she turned, and it was the specific blank expression of a being that had routed all available cognition away from emotion and into pure mechanical continuation. She was, he realized, dying. Not quickly. Not certainly. But she was spending herself on this slope in a currency she wouldn't be able to replenish, and she knew it, and she was doing it anyway, and attached to her body, he could see now, unmistakably, his cubs, the pack scent of them reaching him even through the storm, were 6 young lives that would have been dead by morning. He moved forward. The human's head came up. Even through the exhaustion, even through the white blindness of the storm, she tracked him, tracked all of them, because his pack had come out of the den behind him, drawn by something older than language. The same pull that had him standing in a blizzard watching a creature with no claws, no fur, no natural weapon of any kind look at 43 armed predators and not run. She just stood there. Breathing. Then she said something in the human trade tongue, fractured, heavily accented, the grammar of someone who'd learned it from a phrasebook rather than a speaker. Cubs. Yours. I think. The smell. Kale stepped forward. He was twice her height. His hands, each one larger than her head, reached out, and she held her ground. Did not flinch. Simply stood while he lifted Scarf from her collar, Tank from her back, Velcro and Limpet from her chest. One of his hunters took Anchor and Ballast. The cubs were cold but breathing. Frightened but unhurt. Alive. The sound that came out of his pack was not a howl. It was something underneath howling, the frequency that preceded and followed grief, the pack voice that had no word in the human tongue and perhaps no word in any tongue, because it was not language. It was the specific acoustic shape of relief that lives next to loss. Kale looked down at the human. She had, in the absence of the cub's weight, sat down in the snow. Not collapsed, sat deliberately, with the specific economy of motion that suggested she did not fully trust her legs to do anything more ambitious. She was shaking badly now. Her hands, he looked at them, were wrong colors in wrong places. Why, he asked in the trade tongue, did you do this? She looked up at him. Her eyes were dark, tired, and entirely uncomplicated. They were scared, she said. Like that was the whole answer. Like it was. Kale Vera, alpha of the Vera pack, survivor of 7 wars and 1 drought and the long silence after the skybridges fell, stood in a blizzard on the side of a mountain and looked at this improbable, fragile, extraordinary creature who had walked into an avalanche zone with no claws, no fur, no armor, and no backup, and had carried his children home. He picked her up. She made a startled noise. He ignored it. Cubs warm you, he said, in careful trade tongue. Now pack warms you. She didn't argue. She was too tired to argue. She let herself be carried into the den, into the warmth, into the press of 43 bodies that parted to make room for her and then closed around her like a fist, like a wall, like the specific and absolute warmth of a pack that had decided, not by vote, not by discussion, but by the simple unanimous gravity of a debt that could never be fully repaid, that she was theirs now. Outside, the storm screamed against the mountain. Inside, Tank climbed onto her chest and went to sleep. Mara Ellison closed her eyes. Almost there, she thought. Almost. She was already home.